Great. Well, welcome everyone to the Committee on Taxation. We're going to get started today with work sessions on several bills. We'll start with introductions, as we typically do. We'll start with Senator Pouliot.
Morning, Senator Matt Pouliot, represent Senate District 15.
And I see we've got Representative Bickford with us.
Good morning, Representative Bruce Bickford. I represent House District 63, which is part of Auburn.
Excellent. Representative Carmichael.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is Representative Mickey Carmichael. I represent House District 137, which is 22 communities in Hancock, Washington, and Penobscot counties.
And Representative Collings.
Good morning. I'm Representative Benjamin Collings. I represent part of the city of Portland.
And Representative Gramlich.
Good morning. I am Lori Gramlich. I represent House District 13, which is the lovely seaside community of Old Orchard Beach.
Okay. Representative Hanley is with us on screen here. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Senator. Good morning, everyone. I'm Jeff Hanley. I represent District 87, which are the towns of Pittston, Alna, Wiscasset, and Randolph.
Excellent. And Representative Stetkis.
Good morning, everybody. I am Joel Stetkis. I serve the great people of District 105, which are the towns of Canaan, Palmyra, St. Albans, Heartland, Ripley, and Cambridge.
And Representative Matlack.
Good morning. I'm Ann Matlack. I represent House District 92, which includes the communities of Cushing, Thomaston, South Thomaston, St. George, Matinicus, Creehaven, and the Muscle Ridge Islands.
And Representative Perry.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Joe Perry. I represent part of Orono and part of Bangor in the main house.
And Representative Sachs.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Melanie Sachs. I represent House District 48, which is Freeport and part of Pownell.
And Representative Terry.
Good morning. I'm Mo Terry. I represent District 26, the west side of Gorham, and I serve as House Chair. And welcome everybody to our first hybrid session.
And I'm Senator Ben Chipman. I serve as Senate Chair of the committee, and I represent Senate District 27, which is part of the city of Portland. Also with us, we have Lena Braun, our committee clerk, and Julie Jones, our committee analyst. And just to let folks know, we are trying out a hybrid model of having in person as well as Zoom for people to participate both ways, members of the committee and for the public. I think it's just on Zoom for now, but in the future that may change. But just please bear with us. There may be a few quirks. So far, everything's going okay, but we may have a few quirks as we go on. But we're one of two committees that are testing out this new hybrid model at the Maine legislature, and we're happy to be part of this. Committee members may have received an email this morning from our analyst, just to let folks know in the public, there's two bills that we scheduled for work session today that we're not going to be taking up, LD 1919 and LD 1105, to allow the sponsors to have a little more time to work on amendments for those bills. So we won't be taking up those two bills. And then in terms of the order, we'll be taking up LD 1890 first, followed by LD 308, and then LD 1156. So with that, unless you have anything, Representative Terry, we need to know about before we get started.
Nope, I think we're all set to go.
Great. So we will open up the work session on LD 1890. This is an act to create a rental fleet registration program and equalize the tax rate imposed on rental vehicles. I believe the sponsor of this bill is Representative Perry. We'll hand things over to our analyst, Julie Jones, to walk us through the analysis on this bill, and then we will hear from the sponsor and others on it. So take it away, Julie.
Thank you. One of the reasons why I am participating remotely via Zoom in this meeting is that it was my understanding that I would not be able to screen share if I was in the committee room and not part of the Zoom meeting. So I just want to explain that before I start, but I will bring up the chart and we'll see how this works. Except for some reason, the chart is not available. We'll try one thing. It would be very ironic if this was not going to be available.
Well, you're working on that, Julie, to let folks know this bill already had a public hearing, but not in this committee. It was in the Transportation Committee because it included some parts of law regarding registrations and inspections. And so it was referred to that committee. They had a public hearing on the bill, but then it was decided by the sponsor and supporters, they wanted to take out the parts about registrations and inspections and have it just focus on the tax part. So transportation then sent the bill over to us to just work on the tax portion, which is what the only part that the sponsor, I guess, wants to try to do something on at this point. So it's new to this committee, but it's not new to the legislature, and there was already a public hearing, but we'll hear from the sponsor and others to bring folks up to speed of what the bill would do and what was said at the public hearing as we work on
When
it.
I try to bring it up, it's not there.
But it is down bottom.
Yes, it's there.
Julie, would it be helpful if Representative Perry walked us through the bill while you were working on that?
Yes, I think so. I mean, I can walk you through the bill, but I would not have the screen chart available to do it. However, let me just, maybe I can do that really briefly.
Sure.
I didn't hear everything that Senator Chipman said, so he may have said this already, but obviously this was a bill that was re-referred to you from Transportation Committee. Senator Chipman's a member of that committee, and the sponsor is Representative Perry. So you have two people here among your members who are able to speak to you about this bill. Half of it relates to registration of motor vehicles, which is not something this committee usually deals with. The other half deals with the sales tax. And I'm going to mute myself so we can see if we can share the chart here. And I'll let you speak among yourselves.
Representative Perry, would you like to
Sure.
speak on the bill? Maybe just give folks a synopsis of what occurred at the public hearing and why you brought the bill forward.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, it really was a bill that had two jurisdictions in it, the registration piece and the tax piece. It went to transportation. The registration piece really wasn't ready. There's some complications with it, so we stripped it all out, sent it over to tax. So the only remaining part is kind of what's under our jurisdiction. There's a committee amendment here that strikes one word. It's pickup. It's pickup before the word trucks or vans, gross vehicle weights of less than 2,600 pounds. So we have some experts here, John Block, who also provided us pretty thorough explanation and some testimony. And I had worked with the department, and as I was preparing for this morning, I talked with the department a couple of weeks ago, and I think Dr. Allen had wanted to follow up with me. And so I apologize, Dr. Allen. I just saw that this morning, so we haven't followed up, but it seems like we largely have agreement between the department and the people I brought the bill forward for. It was Enterprise Rental Car, I believe, who initiated this. And it simply clarifies how they tax short-term rentals. There's some confusion between trucks or pickup trucks, or what is a pickup truck nowadays. So I think actually, if we want to hear from Mr. Block or the department, we can get right down to the crux of it.
Yeah, do you think we should hear from Mr. Block first? Go ahead, if we can bring Mr. Block into the meeting and maybe hear from him. And you have a hearing up, Representative Bickford. Did you have a question for Representative Perry? You're on mute, Representative Bickford. Representative Bickford, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. I was just going to ask Representative Perry if he saw the amended version from Mr. Block this morning, and if so, if he is in favor of that amended version.
So I believe I have the latest amendment, and I will reserve judgment if I'm in favor till after I hear from Mr. Block in the department's position. But I just, there's kind of longstanding confusion or ambiguity or just difficulty for businesses on what to tax. And if we can find a way to correct it here or help here, that's all I'm trying for.
Okay, thanks.
And Representative Perry, I mean, just your understanding, I mean, this bill would basically deals with the way that trucks are classified in terms of rentals. So places like Enterprise who rent big box trucks and also cars for people to use. This would sort of make things simpler and easier to document and account for, and it sort of streamlines the process for the way those trucks are classified.
That's the goal.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Julie. You've got your hand up.
Thank you. Something strange just happened to my screen. I wanted to mention we have sorted out my screen sharing problem. I do have Representative Block's amendment that I can screen share for you. We also have Judy Methout here from Maine Revenue Services, who's the head of the Sales Tax Division, who can, I think, probably speak to that. I forwarded copies of the Block memo to them as well, so I think she may have seen it, but she may want to be able to consult her about what the changes that's being made, because I'm not sure I understand it entirely myself. There are two provisions. It's a definition that's being changed with regard to what the definition of retail sale is. And there are currently, in current law, there are two provisions relating to automobiles and other type of vehicles. And I'm not sure what the change is accomplishing myself. I just wanted to mention that. And like I said, I can share it if you want.
Yeah, if you could maybe share the amendment so folks can see that on the screen, and maybe we'll hear from Jonathan Block while that's up on the screen to kind of explain the amendment, since he was involved in drafting it, and go over what we're looking to do with this bill at this point. Looks like we have.
Thank you, Senator Chipman.
Yeah, welcome, Mr. Block.
Thank you very much. For those of you who don't know me, I'm John Block. I live in Portland, and I'm state and local tax attorney specializing in Maine tax law. I'm just going to speak briefly to the amendment just to get that out of the way. Purely a technical amendment. It resulted from the fact that this bill was drafted before a bill that you passed last year, basically the housekeeping bill, came onto the books and added a new paragraph 3A. And once that 3A became effective, the change should be made to paragraph 3A rather than the paragraph we had from prior to that bill becoming codified. So it's purely technical, and it resulted from a conversation we had. We recognized that it needed to happen, but this particular amendment that I sent last night was from a conversation we had with Maine Revenue Service with Mr. D'Alessandro yesterday. And so it's just very technical. It doesn't change what the bill does at all. Getting just so you understand the bill itself. Currently, automobiles, pickup trucks, and vans less than 26,000 pounds are the rentals of those are taxed at 10%. And when a rental company purchases those vehicles, there is no tax on their purchase. It's not considered a retail sale because the taxes on the end user are 10%. The problem is that over time, you have more and more trucks that look like pickup trucks that there's no definition of pickup truck. And you could have two vehicles sitting on the rental car company lot. One might be considered a pickup truck. The one next to it looks very similar. And one of those is taxed at 10% and the other one's taxed at 0. And so this would just make all trucks under 26,000 pounds for short-term rental subject to exactly the same tax, so that the poor person at the rental agency doesn't have to make this decision on their own or doesn't have to call Maine Revenue Service every time. And I gave you with my letter just a example of the kinds of trucks that are rented. They look very similar, but only one of these is taxed at 10%. The other ones have the rentals taxed at nothing, and it's hard to understand why that would be, our tax policy. They really should all be exactly the same. Just because one of these might have, a toolbox built into it, or not. So really, and I would sort of defy anybody to explain why only one of these is taxed at 10%. So this just fixes that and makes all of these trucks, whether you call it a pickup truck or a stake bed truck, under 26,000 pounds, they just all tax the same. The purchase would be exempt because the tax would be on the the rentals. And that's all this bill does. Just simplifies, clarifies, and makes everything uniform so that it can be easily administered by both the rental companies, main revenue service, and easier for the consumers to understand.
Excellent. Any questions from members of the committee? Okay, maybe we should hear from Judy Matho. See if we can promote her. Welcome, Ms. Matho. Do you want to address the committee and let us know what your thoughts are on what's being proposed?
Yeah, I was waiting for the rest of you to pop up. I could only see myself. So thank you very much. Good morning, Senator Chipman. Mr. Block and I have talked about this in the past, and he is correct. There was not really confusion, but some problems around the definition of pickup truck, having an open bed versus another truck that might have a box on the back of it, what is commonly called a box truck. This amendment is simply striking out the word pickup so that all trucks, no matter what shape or form they come in, under 26,000 pounds will be taxed the same way.
Okay, and the department's supportive of this change?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Any committee discussion? Not seeing any hands up. Go ahead, Representative Terry.
Oh, looks like Representative
Oh, Representative Carmichael, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just to make it really clear for me, all other provisions of this bill has been struck, and the only part left is what they just went over. Is
Yeah,
that true?
That's true. Yep.
No,
And
No.
that's
No?
not true.
Okay.
This is, may I answer that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. This is just striking one paragraph of the bill and substituting it with the other paragraph that has the correct change to the correct paragraph 3A. The rest of the part B of the bill stays intact. Part A has already been stripped away. So this is just changing. The amendment is substituting. The only change is in one section of the bill. Section B1.
But I mean, we have the whole bill in front of us, so
Right.
if we're going to pass this, we'd have to amend the bill to take out all of Part A and just deal with Part B. Yep. Go ahead, Judy. Nothing.
That was my comment, that Part A was never officially stricken, so you would have to add that to your amendment. That was my comment. Thank you.
Yeah, so the amendment would strike out Part A and only deal with Part B, making the changes in the bill for Part B as well as the changes outlined in this amendment that came forward this morning. I think that's what we'd be doing. Representative Bickford, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to make a motion ought to pass as amended on LD 1890 and to strike Part A along with the amended language brought in front of us, and also amended in case there's any fiscal note, which I doubt there is, but just in case.
Second.
So we have a motion made by Representative Bickford, seconded by Representative Terry. Ought to pass as amended is the motion to strike out all of Part A, keep Part B, but also incorporate the changes brought forward this morning with the amendment the sponsors brought to us. Representative Stekis, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So looking through the testimony, I see there was somebody from the industry that testified in favor of the original bill. The bill has changed substantially. The two speakers this morning, maybe I missed it. I'm not sure if they're either one of them are representing the industry. I'd be interested to see what the thoughts of the industry is currently under these amendments. We have that ability.
Well, we had Mr. Block from the industry and he supports the amendment, and the other person we heard from Ms. Malthus from the department, and they support this change as well with what was being proposed with the motion that's been made.
Okay, so Mr. Block is basically representing the industry.
Yeah, maybe you could just clarify, Mr. Block, exactly who you represent and who
Sure.
you've spoken with in the industry on this, and let us know who's on board.
Yes, I represent Enterprise Holdings, which has 2 truck rental locations in Maine, one in Bangor and one in Westbrook. I don't represent the entire industry. And I know we have 2 people from Enterprise on here, but I'm not sure if there's anyone else from the industry, but I think the industry is aware of it. It's been published, but I haven't heard from anybody else in the industry.
All right, great. Yeah, I apologize. I'm new to the committee. I wasn't here for the public hearing, but I did see the testimony from Mr. Auger, and I hadn't seen him here, and just wanted to make sure that any of the parties that were interested in this enough have been apprised of the current amendments.
Yeah, and just to clarify, Representative Steck, because you didn't miss the public hearing, because we didn't have the public hearing in this committee. It was held in the Transportation Committee because the bill included things about the way that the vehicles are registered. So it was sent there. They had a hearing, and then when the sponsor and supporters wanted to take out Part A regarding registrations, that committee that sent the bill to us. So we never had a hearing here, so you didn't miss it. It's just the way the process was with it. But maybe Mr. Auger, could you maybe we could let him in just to give him a chance to add any additional information that you might want to add, and let us know who he's been in touch with on it, so that we understand who in the industry has been involved or supportive of what's being proposed. Welcome, Mr. Auger.
Chairman Chipman and Representative Steckis for the question. John Block's a partner of mine at Pierce Atwood, so and he's the tax expert, so I wouldn't try to embellish what he said at all, other than to say we worked with Enterprise to get this to a place, and then John and Olga Goldberg have worked with Maine Revenue to do the same. But I would just make it just to clarify any confusion. This change doesn't affect what U-Haul and Penske and Ryder do, because the law is currently written for any of their sales, or excuse me, any of their purchases are exempt from the 10% tax for each rental. They pay it. When the quirk in the law is that it's related to a car rental company, or a person primarily in the business of renting cars, and that's why it's particularly confusing for Enterprise and other car rentals that rent trucks, because then they get into this issue of, is this a pickup truck? Is it not a pickup truck? And this particular change is specific to persons primarily in the business of renting cars, and that it relieves them of this administrative burden of having to basically keep one set of books for trucks, another set of books for pickup trucks, vans, and that's really the crux of this. And we
Looks like we lost you, Mr. Auger. Maybe your internet signal isn't that strong right now. I'm not sure. Are you still with us? Maybe you could turn off your, if you turn off your video, it might work better with the signal. There you go.
Is that
Go
any
ahead.
better?
Yep, that sounds better. Yep.
We've worked with Enterprise, had some meetings with part of the bill, so I would embellish on what my partner Jonathan Block has presented to you. So, but appreciate the question, Representative Steckis.
Great, thank you. That's very clarifying, allows me to make an informed decision.
Go ahead, Representative Matlack.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mostly I have a question for Ms. Mathoff. Is there a fiscal note attached to this? Will this change the revenues from something like this? And it's to what sort of an extent, you know?
Fiscal notes are really handled by our Office of Tax Policy. I don't believe Dr. Allen is on today. I'm not sure that I can speak to that.
Representative Terry?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It looks like Mr. D'Alessandro is on the attendee list. Would it be okay if I moved him over?
Yeah, his hand's actually up. I think he wants to address
Great.
this.
Okay, he's on his way.
Yeah, let's welcome in Daniel D'Alessandro from Maine Revenue. Welcome, Mr. D'Alessandro.
Hello, Senator Chipman, Representative Terry, members of the Taxation Committee. My name is Daniel D'Alessandro, and I'm Associate Tax Policy Counsel in the Office of Tax Policy. Thank you. To answer that question, there will be a fiscal note. I don't have a revenue estimate on this bill right now, but there would be a fiscal note on this. I wanted to clarify the department's position. The department and the administration haven't testified on this bill and don't have a position on the bill as a whole. We did have a technical concern, and the amendment that Mr. Block brought does address that technical concern.
Okay, so the department's, I guess, neutral for on at this point, but the amendment addressed the concerns that you had. I know that fiscal note hasn't been generated yet, but just looking at what the change proposed at this point, would you say it would still bring in roughly the same amount of revenue that we get now, or maybe a little more or less to the multimodal fund, which is where this revenue goes?
Right, it would bring in a little more, and like you said, it would go to the multimodal, but I don't want to speak to how significant that change would be yet. We haven't done that yet.
But it sounds like it wouldn't bring in less revenue to multimodal. I only bring up that concern because I want to make sure that fund still gets the amount of revenue that it's getting now, at least that same amount, because that's important for funding the Downeaster and other things that fund pays for. So sounds like you're saying it might bring in a little bit more revenue, but not less.
Right. For that fund.
Yeah. Representative Perry.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think a similar thing that there's a potential to lose some general sales tax from paying tax on the purchase up front and picking up rental tax. So it might shift some from the general fund to the multimodal, but also there's a loophole where if a vehicle is bought out of state and then brought in to the state of Maine, that no tax, sales tax or rental tax would ever be collected in the state. So, and it takes care of this problem for the industry. So I think all around overall, it's a good thing.
Okay. Any additional committee discussion, questions, or any of the guests we have with us today? Not seeing any hands up. We have a motion on the table. I guess we should vote on that motion. All those in favor of the motion, please signify. That appears to be unanimous of all members present. We'll let our clerk read the names, since we're doing things with a hybrid model, to read the names of those who voted in favor of the motion for the public to be aware of that.
Mr. Chair, I meant to vote in favor. I'm sorry.
Okay, so
So noted.
there was nobody in opposition, and all present were in favor, but we'll let the clerk read off the names for the public.
All right. Ought to pass as amended. I'm just confirming. Senator Chipman,
Yes.
Senator Pouliot,
Yeah.
Representative Bickford,
Yes.
Representative Carmichael,
Yes.
Representative Collings,
He's on mute.
Yes, I voted yes.
Representative Gramlich,
Yes.
Representative Hanley,
Yes.
Representative Stetkis,
Yes.
Representative Matlack,
Yes.
Representative Perry,
Yes.
Representative Sachs, is absent. Representative Terry,
Yes.
okay. Unanimous for to pass as amended.
Great. So we will close the work session on LD 1890. And we'll now go into work session on LD 308. This is an act to promote research and development in the state by increasing and marketing the research expense tax credit. You got your hand up, Representative Terry?
You go, Julie, go first.
Okay, so we'll hear from our analyst, Julie Jones, on this, and then we'll have some committee discussion. Go ahead, Julie. I think you're on mute, Julie.
Sorry about that. I was going to be so careful. LD 308 is a carryover bill from the first regular session. It's Senator Stewart's bill. And the bill proposes to increase the research expense income tax credit, which is currently based upon a federal credit. So it's a percentage of the federal credit. Currently 5% of certain qualified research expenses and 7.5% of basic research payments. These are terms that are defined under the federal law. And the maximum credit in Maine is $25,000 under current law. This bill doubles all of that. So it changes the 5% of qualified research expenses to 10%. The basic federal research payments from 7.5% to 15%, and it changes the maximum credit in Maine from $25,000 to $50,000. The bill also provides an appropriation of $100,000 to DECD to market the credit. Last year, OPEGA indicated that they were just in the process of actually beginning in very initial stages of their evaluation of the research expense credit. And as things stand right now, they will be presenting their evaluation to the Government Oversight Committee on March 11th, the next time that it's meeting. The report has not been made public yet. I don't know if it's completed even at this point, but it will be on March 11th. DECD requested that the appropriation that's in the bill to market the research expense credit, that it be not increased, but expanded to include other credits that DECD also markets to businesses that are looking to establish themselves in Maine. It will need an application date, like income tax credits usually have always have an application date in them saying that it applies to tax years beginning on or after a certain date. So and the original bill does not have that provision. So it would need to have that. And some of the dates that are in the bill, the appropriations, for instance, appropriates for both FY22, it's a little late for that now, and FY23. So you would want to take out, I assume, the appropriation for FY22 and restrict it to FY23. I think that's all I have.
Okay, Representative Terry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So a couple of things. One is I think it would be wise for us to hold off on this. I know that our voting date for getting all of our bills out of committee is near the 11th of March. However, I think having that report in front of us while we make these decisions would be very helpful, A. And B, I think it would give members of this committee the opportunity to sit in on that OPEGA meeting, listening to their report and seeing where they are with the credit altogether, and if it would make sense to double it. Seems like it's probably a good idea to jump up our credits, knowing how old the program is. That being said, I think it would be well worth it for us to hear the good and the bad from that report before we make our decision. So I think I don't want to limit the conversation immediately, but I think I'm moved to table. But if anybody wants to talk ahead of that, I'm happy to take a listen. It looks like Representative Hanley might have a question.
Go ahead, Representative Hanley. Did you have a question?
I was simply going to second the tabling motion.
Any committee discussion?
All right, then.
Go ahead, Representative Terry.
Thank you. Then I will make a motion to table this until after the 11th. And I would really recommend sitting in on that GOC meeting. They're very informative when it comes to the reports and the questions that we get from outside the taxation committee, which is nice.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion made by Representative Terry, seconded by Representative Bickford, to table this bill until sometime after March 11th. There's no debate on a motion to table, so all those in favor, please signify. That appears to be unanimous of all members present, and we'll let our clerk read off the names of everybody. And I think we can just read the names. We don't have to ask everybody. Just read off everybody that voted in favor.
All right, Senator Chipman.
Just-
Senator Pouliot, Representative Bickford, Representative Carmichael, Representative Collings, Representative Gramlich, Representative Hanley, Representative Stetkis, Representative Matlack, Representative Perry, and Representative Terry.
All right, so that's unanimous of all members present. So we will close the work session on LD 308. And we will now go into work session on LD 1156. This is an act to reduce errors in employment tax increment financing benefits, sponsored by Representative Arata. We'll give Julie a minute to bring up the chart and walk us through this bill. I believe Representative Arata is with us. We can bring her into the room as well and maybe hear from her after Julie.
Unmuting. I'm muted. LD 1156 is an act to reduce errors in employment tax increment financing benefits. What the bill does is, under current law, ETIF benefits to employers are in the form of reimbursement for a percentage of wages withheld for income tax purposes based upon the unemployment level of the area where the qualified employee is employed. So the employer has, in order to be eligible, has to hire at least 5 new qualified employees during the year. Qualified employees need to have a retirement program available and health insurance benefits available. And they have to be paid at a certain level, I believe. And the reimbursement to the employer is calculated based upon the unemployment level in the area where the employee is employed. So the higher the unemployment in that area, the greater percentage reimbursement that the employer receives. What LD 1156 proposes to do is, instead of basing what the employer receives on withholding for the qualified employees, that it be based upon the gross wages of qualified employees. And the bill directs DECD and the state tax assessor to take actions, including adoption of rules to implement the change. Representative Arata has a proposed amendment which has been emailed to you yesterday, and I have it available to share, I hope, so I can also do that. Her amendment would clarify the calculation of what the payment to the employer would be. It seems that perhaps it becomes a little confusing to call it reimbursement When it's withholding wages, it's the employer that withholds the wages and pays them to the state. So the state's getting a return of that amount, which is like reimbursement for what they have paid the state in withholding. If it's based on gross wages, the employer is not being reimbursed for anything that it's paid the state. It's getting a benefit that's calculated based on that, but it makes the terminology perhaps a little bit complicated. I don't know whether Maine Revenue Services wants to speak to that. This I'm looking at my notes here. A language, the amendment from Representative Arata, which I think DECD has worked with her on that, I believe, also clarifies that it applies to 2022 and after. And I've heard the question raised. I'm not sure what the answer is, whether 2022 is possible, considering that some of the actions that have to take place with regard to ETIF happen like throughout the year in March, June, July. And for 2022, it may be too late for some of those things to happen, or certainly before the effective date of this bill, which is not an emergency. So I'm suggesting that these may be issues that perhaps DECD or Maine Revenue Services more likely, because I think they're the ones that would be more affected by the dates and by the gross wages change. So I'm going to stop babbling right now, and I'll let you move on to do that, unless you have questions, which I'd be happy to try to answer.
Any questions, members of the committee? Not seeing any. No, Representative Arata's with us. Would you like to address the committee, Representative Arata?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I received another amendment from Mr. McLaughlin with DECD last night, and I'm happy with it. And I don't know if you have a copy of it or not. And what it does is it defines the benefit base as 4.25% of the incremental gross wages paid during the calendar year. My intention for this is to change the benefit base calculation from being based on withholding, which is how it is now. It's not based on gross wages. It's based on withholding, which, as you know, withholding increases as exemptions decrease. Exemptions decrease because of dependence. I'm sorry, increase with, I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. So the more dependents you have, the lower your withholding. So that shouldn't really play a factor into the benefit that a business gets. And this came to my attention when I was on Government Oversight Committee and we were reviewing this. It's ETIF benefit. One thing that came up with in Government Oversight Committee is how difficult it is to enforce this and calculate it, and that they're, in order to make sure that everything is done correctly, they have to get all the employees' information, their social security numbers, and then you have confidentiality issues. So they needed a separate space to do the reviews, and they were hoping for more staff. So my idea is to try and simplify it, make it more fair, and not decrease the benefit. And MRS did the calculation, and it came out to 4.25%. And so I'm pretty happy with the bill. The only thing that I'm concerned about, well, there's two things. The year is 2022, and it's a little late for that, so maybe we should change it to 2023. And also, this amendment hasn't had, nobody's had a chance to review it. The stakeholders haven't really had a chance to look at it. So I would be happy if you discuss it today, but maybe table it for action at a later date after we've had some feedback from stakeholders.
Representative Terry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Representative Arata, for doing all this work. I'm really glad that you were working with DECD come up with something more streamlined. I know that's their focus at the moment. I wonder if we can talk to Mr. McLaughlin. He looks like he is in the waiting room. And he can just share with us what their thoughts are on making these changes at this time.
Welcome, Mr. McLaughlin.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me in here. I may have missed the last 20 to 30 seconds or so as I was switching over. So is there a specific question you had for me?
Yeah, I just wanted to sort of have you walk us through making these changes at this time, changing the date to 2023 as opposed to 2022, if that makes more sense. Or since we've just started this year, if it makes sense to do it now, just to get your feelings on making these changes at the moment. I'm not sure who the stakeholders would be in this other than industry that take advantage of this credit. So I just was gonna sort of pick your brain a little bit and see if there was anything that you had heard from them, or did you take into consideration them when crafting the amendment?
Sure. Thanks for the questions. To start just on the date, the way the program works is that the calendar year withholding, or in this case, wages, aren't reimbursed until the following spring. So right now we're reviewing reports for calendar year 2021. So in theory, it could be okay still to have it discussing calendar year 2022, because actually that won't be processed until next year. I would, I think, defer to the sponsor and the committee whether they want to change it. I mean, technically we are partway into the calendar year 2022, of course. It's not my impression that it would, changing that fact would necessarily change a business's expectations or plans for the year, but I suppose I don't want to make that assumption on their behalf. So that's just to say, I don't think there would be any, catastrophic issue if it stays with 2022, but that is something you can consider. For the amendment, the amendment is really just making a couple sort of technical changes with it. One is just putting the percentage number in there. The original text had just, it included a definition of how the percentage would be calculated, but at time, Maine Revenue Services was able to just calculate the specific number. So that could just be right in the statute and avoid that additional definition having to be in there. And then it includes a part just clarifying that the existing ETIF rate structure, because ETIF rates do vary depending on location and if they participate in Pine Tree Zone. So the amendment just makes sure that that stays the same, because it's my understanding, I don't think it was the sponsor's intent to change that facet of the program. Yeah, so the amendment doesn't substantively change what the bill would do. It's just kind of making a couple things to make it easier to implement, I would say. And on the point about stakeholders, again, this hasn't necessarily changed substantively since the original text was proposed last year. So I'm not sure if there's maybe new input. That's not something that I can say that we've gone out to gather as the department. It's something that I think if the bill moved forward, and certainly if it passed, we would let participants know that change is coming. But it's not something that the ECD is proactively gathering input on. So it's not a department bill. It's not something that we proposed ourselves necessarily. Yeah, I think, does that answer your questions? Were there any others in there that I missed?
Yeah, no, I think it does. I think it does. The timing of things is really was the biggest question for me. And I'm just looking back. And this is for either you, Mr. McLaughlin, or Representative Arata. It doesn't look like there's any industry input at all based on just the initial structure of the bill without it having changed too much. I'm in favor of making some moves today, but we can keep talking it out.
Well, I've been contacted by some people concerned that their benefit's going to be reduced, and that's not my intention at all.
Yeah.
And I really, I want this bill to be neutral and just simplify everything. And so I don't want to harm anybody.
I get that.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would feel comfortable if they had a chance to review it and say, oh yes, this is a good bill. I just want everybody to be happy.
Oh, so good. That's so good. Well, maybe we can invite MRS to come in and just kind of shed light on that in a sec. It looks like Mr. D'Alessandro is still with us. I'm not sure if he or Ms. Papadoc would be the right person to ask. But it looks like, Senator, if it's okay, Representative Bickford also has a
Yeah,
question.
Representative Bickford, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Arata, I think that you might have just answered my question, and that was going to a percentage of gross wages rather than of withholding. With the new structure that's set up with that percentage, you're anticipating this to be pretty much a wash, and is DECD kind of seeing the same result?
Yes, the calculation was made based on my original bill by MRS. So I'm assuming it's correct and that the benefits won't change. The benefits to industries won't change. It'll just be easier moving forward for people to calculate it.
Okay, thank you.
So maybe we can hear from Mr. D'Alessandro.
Hello, Senator Chipman. I'm still Daniel D'Alessandro. So the benefits to the industry as a whole would remain the same with this change, but to particular taxpayers, there could be a difference. As Representative Arata said, the benefit that you currently get under the program is based on withholding, and withholding can vary depending on, say, your filing status or other income sources you have. And that part would be removed and would be based just on the aggregate wages. And so for a particular business, that might come out neutral, but that also could shift. And certainly for a specific employee, the benefit you receive for that employee could shift. But as a whole, the benefits would remain the same for the program.
Okay. We see Ms. Papadoc is with us. So do you want to address the committee or say anything, Ms. Papadoc?
Good morning. No, I agree with what Mr. D'Alessandro said, but the date, the applicable date is something we are interested in listening to.
Okay. All right. Any further committee discussion? Any questions, Representative Terry?
Thank you. So Ms. Papadoc, do you agree with Mr. McLaughlin that the date of 2022 is okay? Or would it be better for the folks that you deal with for it to move to 2023? Have they already started their work on this?
So what we will be awaiting the information from DECD for the program that just ended with wages earned during calendar year 2021, and we'll begin our stuff. So if it begins with calendar year 2022, that should be fine. We just would like to make sure also that the wage amount that this will be based on is that the taxable main wages. So we'll take a little bit longer to look at this, but so we just want to make sure we're agreeing on whatever that amount is. Is it the taxable main wages from the W-2?
So do you want a couple extra minutes with this amendment as well?
maybe
Yeah.
longer than a couple minutes.
Okay.
Just to verify that.
It's okay.
we're-
It's okay to ask. Yeah, no problem.
Just to
Okay.
verify that we're using the same number and it's all
Yeah.
agreed. We know what
Sure,
we're working
sure.
with.
Okay.
Go ahead, Julie, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, and the way this bill is drafted and the amendment continues it, it's not based on taxable wages. It's based on total incremental gross wages, which is not a defined term. Under current law, there is a definition of employment tax increment, but there's not a definition of total incremental gross wages paid. And it's gross wages, not taxable wages. I also, in looking at the ETIF statutes, this may be a concern that I have that is not justified in any way. So, but I'm just asking with regard to section 6758 in the statutes, which is the procedure for reimbursement, which is the part that the state tax assessor has responsibility for. DECD essentially determines who's eligible and identifies the items of the calculation necessary for the amount to be determined, but the taxpayers apply to Maine Revenue Services for the calculate for receiving that benefit. At the moment, it's a reimbursement of withholding amounts to the employer. And some of the language that's in section 6758 still refers to withholding. And it occurs to me that perhaps that is not appropriate anymore. And it is the section that requires certain information to be reported to the state tax assessor by March 15th of each year, June 30th, July 1st, and between July 1st and July 15th. And it's also the section that indicates that, I mean, it's even a little bit of a fiction at this point anyway, that the money this is a state fiscal concern. There's nothing appropriated in state law for the ETIF benefits that are paid. They are a reduction of withholding, which is a revenue line which exists in the general fund. So there's a revenue line that the state's going to take in. The Revenue Forecasting Committee estimates that every time they do a forecast of the amount of withholding that will be taken in. That amount obviously is not money that belongs to the employer, really. It belongs to the employee. They're the ones who have to either pay more or get a refund at the end of the year when they file their taxes. The amount of it's withheld is not exactly the same as the amount of taxes that they owe. They still get all of that. It's just that the employer gets a payment. And the statute provides that that payment is considered a reduction from the withholding fund. Whether that is still an appropriate mechanism if this is no longer withholding taxes that are being used to categorize it is a decision that's up to the committee, I think, although I don't know if Maine Revenue Services needs to weigh in on that issue, but it is something that occurred to me. Sorry, I know that's all kind of confusing, but hopefully Maine Revenue Services can be clearer about it. Perhaps I am my concerns are not justified. I'm not entirely sure, but they arose for me.
Yeah, just
All
a
right.
question for you, Julie. If we table the bill, how much notice do we have to give to schedule work sessions at this point? Or do we have to give a certain amount of notice, or is that waived?
My understanding is that the notice for work sessions is essentially that you give as much notice as you can.
Yeah, there's not like a week requirement like public hearings at this point,
No.
so.
No, not
I'm
for
just
a
throwing it
work
out there because it sounds like the representative Harada wanted to run this by some people, but she's come up with something that may be fine. There may be a few technical things to work out, so. Go ahead, Representative Bickford.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In order to give MRS some time to look through this and perhaps offer some better language in an amended version. I'm gonna make a motion to table until they were able to get that work done for us.
Second.
So we have a motion to table made by Representative Bickford, seconded by Representative Terry. All those in favor of tabling, please signify. It appears to be unanimous of all members present, and we'll let our clerk just read off the names for the public. They know who was here voting to table.
All right, Senator Chipman, Senator Pouliot, Representative Bickford, Representative Carmichael, Representative Collings, Representative Gramlich, Representative Hanley, Representative Steckis, Representative Matlack, Representative Perry, Representative Terry.
All right, so we will close the work session on LD 1156. I think, I don't know if Senator Stewart's still in the waiting room, but did you let him know? Okay, so he knew he was coming on his bill. We'd already tabled it. Great. Well, that completes all our work sessions for today. I don't know if you have anything, Julie, any amendments we need to go over, or any other things we need to know about?
No amendments for today. I noticed when last time I was down in the committee room that it appears that a number of people did not pick up their notebooks with the budget materials in them. I really hesitate to do this, but if you're not going to be in the building and you would like to have us snail mail them to you, we can do that. Representative Bickford is still here. He did request them to be put into the mail, and they have been put into the mail, but the mail being what it is these days, I'm a little concerned that it might not get to you in time for the public hearing with appropriations, which is next Wednesday at 1 o'clock. They have been emailed to you and they are posted online, so they are available to you other than in paper form. But I had hoped where you were here yesterday, most of you anyway, I'm not sure how many, but if you didn't pick them up in the taxation committee room, if you are going to be in the building or are today, remember to stop by again, or if you want us to mail them, we will do that. I just can't guarantee at this point that they're going to get there by next Wednesday.
Will that hearing be by Zoom?
Yes, it will be. I'm sorry. Yes, that will be a Zoom meeting. It will not be hybrid.
Okay.
Even last year, appropriations was having some hybrid meetings last year, but it will be by Zoom, yes.
Thank you.
There won't be an in-person option, so it will be a Zoom only on the inner horseshoe virtually with them. Representative Terry.
Sorry, thank you. I was just gonna say, the books are great to write through for sure, but everything is online and easily printable. It's not too many pages. It's not overwhelming. You don't have to print the whole bill.
Representative Stetkis.
Would it be too much trouble to have mine sent up to the office? Office?
That's not a problem at all. That would be easy.
Appreciate it.
I'm
Thanks
going
so much.
upstairs. I'm going upstairs right now. I'll drop it off in your office.
Oh, wow, thank
Even
you.
easier. They are sitting on the windowsill right behind her.
Any other announcements? Anything else from Representative Terry? You're all set. So I guess we're all set to adjourn for today for the Committee on Taxation. We'll see everybody back here on Tuesday morning, 10 o'clock. Yep, excellent. Have a good weekend.
See everybody.
Well, that was interesting.